So today we'll be looking at governance and politics, youth inclusiveness. And to come look at all of this with us and put in the right perspective is a lawyer, a profession, and also a knight. Let me introduce to us Sir Leonard Anyongo. He's the Secretary, Cross River State Elders Forum. So good to have you, sir. And it's been a long while. This is like homecoming for you.
Yes, very, very well. Good morning, Constitution. Good morning, viewers. I must really commend your studio.
Thank you very much.
I'm so much at home. Like you said, it's a homecoming. I think I've been away for a while.
Definitely you have. Let's look at this. Governance and politics, youth inclusiveness. We want to start with the very simple. One would say, who really is a youth? Because sometimes you see a youth and someone is in his late 50s, but they still say he's a youth. Let's clearly put it, who really is a youth, before we know where we are driving this to.
Thank you so much. The National Policy on Youth, they actually established the NYSC, sees youth as somebody who is from 18, between the age of 18 and 29. Of course, the African Charter extended it further to 35 years. So if you are below 35 by the African Charter, you are a youth. National policy is between 18 and 29. That presupposes that I'm no longer a youth because, of course, I'm always proudly saying that I'm well over 40 now. But maybe for the purposes of Nigerians that have extended, this is unofficially now. Look at somebody who is below 45. Then I will not fall. I can call myself a youth, but the actual national policy is somewhere between the ages of 18 and 29, and then of course the African Charter, which we are a signature to, somewhere who is below 35. So that is a clear mark of who a youth is actually.
Okay, fine. So that we have it in the right perspective. Now, let's look at the youth inclusiveness in governance and politics. What is the place of the youth in all of this, governance and politics?
Well, I'll try not to speak too much law this morning. But if you look at section 221, section 222 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, the Nigerian Constitution as amended, you cannot discriminate anybody that will participate in governance because of his age. That means if you are 100 years, you can still run election. Of course, there's a minimum age now, which is 25 years and above. And of course, section 78 of the Electoral Act as amended, abhor discrimination on the basis of age, religion, and all that. So that is why you don't have restriction. Whether if you're 100 years, you can still run for political office. I just want to set that record very clearly. But the disturbing trend is that we have too many exits from 1999. Let's even look at it from 1999 to date. You see someone who has been a governor, has been a senator, he has been a House of Rep member, has been a commissioner, and then he has the privilege of having so much money. And then you and I coming into the fold, they will start, the discussion start from even the nomination forms by political parties. Look, I'm not declaring an intention here, but I know some time ago somebody was starting me for Nigerian presidency. That is in the UK at the Chatham House, which I'm a member. And the question was that I was asking myself, why am I going to get 300 million just to get a form? You understand what I'm saying? So, clearly, that is a financial discrimination. So, for a young person between 18 and 29 or below 35, why has he worked? Why has he got the money to the financial muscle to do that? But then, we've been very blessed in this state, I can tell you, with all my integrity on the line. If you look at 1999, when His Excellency Mr. Donald Duke, my very good friend, was the governor of this state at the age of 38. I met him in a recent function and I said, Your Excellency, you are just ageless. You know. So at the age of 38, he was the governor of this state. And of course, followed by the people's mentors, Senator Lee Elimoke. And of course, the present digital governor, who has done tremendously well. He has opened up the space. And if you can see, let's come home because we're discussing politics now. If you see the chairman-elect of APC, by Sir Francis Ogaiba, it's less than 42. It's the state chairman that's never happened before. You know, and of course, if you see, just yesterday, the candidate of the APC in Ogoja Yala Federal Constituency, that's a very young person. They call it Chief, but it's a very young man, Chief Judin Gaji. And of course, I'm sure that PDP is going to follow suit. So the young persons have always been in politics. But then, governance, that is a hallmark. For me, I just believe that after politics comes governance. So the youth have to demonstrate the fact, those of them that have been privileged to be in office, to show, have they shown governance? To some extent, yes. To some other extent, I think to an extent, they have not done very well. But a large number of the youth that have been given political opportunity to serve have shown demonstrated capacity and competence. I can see it with all the 3 governors, including our amiable present governor, who has actually opened up the space. So, if you look at it, I think the major drawback is the financial, how do you call it, the ceiling by political parties.
Okay, but before we go to that financial challenge, let's look at, because you brought out two powerful variables here, politics and governance. So looking at Cross River State youth, are they more effective in politics than governance, or are they more effective in governance than politics? Because one would seem to see the youth drifting towards more involvement in politics than governance.
Yeah, politics is actually a vehicle. But unfortunately, some persons, not just the youth now, are just interested in political vehicle. They have not prepared themselves for governance. Governance is that destination that does not discriminate whether you came under APC or PDP. You are delivering on the principles, on the goals set out by the political parties, on the ideology and the expectations of Nigerians or Cross-Riverians, as the case may be. So that's why you see the disconnect. You see somebody with so much political sagacity, and he gets to office and he's not delivering. And you are wondering, so you must prepare yourself that you are going to do governance after politics. And so for any youthful person to be in position, it's a generation. You are trying to tell the other persons that, look, we have opportunity to serve and deliver. So you are not just there for yourself. You are just there for the whole generation of persons, because they are going to assess you. How are they going to give Barry Sanyog or Sanyog the position of the presidency when so person has been in office and has not delivered? So you must prepare yourself for governance, and it's a mentorship. And I tell you that the crop of young leaders in Cross River today, in the next 5-10 years, they are going to hit their zenith. That is because the political space has been opened. And I sincerely commend the present governor, Senator Professor Ben Ayade.
Okay, now, Barrister, let's look at the issues affecting this youth inclusiveness, because you mentioned one, finance. Let's look at that, because very importantly, just last week the Senate came up to push presidential campaign spendings from 1 billion naira to 5 billion naira. Do you think the youth will even have this, if we should start talking about the financial involvement here? Let's look at the challenges the youth are facing in inclusiveness in governance and politics.
I've been on record several fora to saying that the kind of money we spend doing running costs is not actually the best. If you look at 5 billion naira running costs, I come from a community at Fopa in Yacheyala local government. You know what 5 billion is for my community? You know what they do that place as beautiful as your studio. So the cost of governance in Nigeria is quite high. Likewise, the cost of politics. Look, before you get into politics, and this is, we need to look at it holistically. Look, for you, if I start consultation to be president of Nigeria, tell me, if I come to any person, if I consult any person, they look at you first. Where is the money? What have you brought on the table? What have you? You are consulting, you are spending money. You are every other person, the stakeholders, even the voters. Until recently, that we have outlawed this vote buying. So the whole system is extremely very, very expensive. So when somebody spends so much money and borrow money and all that, and he gets to office, the likelihood of performance is near zero, because you are so much indebted that you are looking at where to get the money to repay this debt. So the system is, we need a total cleansing, trust me. And that will be done through legislation in the nearest future, where it will be compulsory that, of course, political parties cannot actually be gagged, because it's a kind of a private public entity, because they need money to run their organization. But where a political party will ask a young person to come and cover 15, 20 million just for an intent form, there's what we call intent form, there's a nomination form, and then of course the campaign process itself is quite expensive. So the system is not treated towards, when I say the young person, there's a young person who are very rich. There's even some old person at 50 and they have not even made money. So the system is, the financial implication is quite high. That is one drawback. But then, if you prepare yourself for governance, I'm sure that somebody told me that, look, if you are running for presidency, there are a lot of presidents that will support you. So in other climb, there's what we call crowdfunding. Of course, I was having a similar conversation in the UK at the Chatham House, and what I was like, I do not even have the money to get an intern fund to run for Nigerian presidency. And somebody said, what do you mean? You mean an individual who sponsor yourself? What of crowdfunding, where people come in and say, look, would like this young man, let us contribute money and send him to the position. Of course, when they do that, you owe the community that sense of responsibility. In those days, let me quickly say something. In those days, the community contribute money to send some people to school. They actually sent some people to school. And then there's that obligation that if you are sent by a community to school, you should come back and serve the community. But if it is self-funding, you can decide to stay any part of it. Like. So crowdfunding is one option that we should look at. Crowdfunding, that is my recommendation at this point, that people should come together and sponsor the youth, and then of course the youth have to deliver governance. Mentally, you are ready for governance after politics.
Okay, let's quickly take you through in Cross River here. So far, we've seen some gladiators for 2023. And taking a very good look at it, we have less than 15% of very young people coming into the fore. What would we say is responsible for that? At least Cross River in focus.
Well, I think from my hindsight, as Secretary of Elders Home and someone in the public space over these years, I believe that the next governor of Cross River State will be somebody who is less than 45 years. Someone who is mentally prepared for that office. Because if you look at the trajectory of governors, both the past and the present, it has been basically less than 45. From Donald Imoke, and the present governor, His Excellency Senator Professor Ben Ayagi. Now, in 2023, we are not just going to do the talk, we are going to do the work. I see a young Perseverian. I imagine that, because look, if you look at, let me go back to the APC. If a state chairman of a party is less than 42 years, it just, there's this natural gestation that a young person too should naturally emerge as a governor of the state. But beyond that, beyond being young, you must be competent, you must show capacity, you must have the knowledge economy. So I want to see somebody who can drive Cross River State, because this was dependent on federal allocation. Cross River State has the least allocation. So I don't know the magic the governor is using to do most of these projects and paying salaries. So we need somebody that has the knowledge economy that can come into the system to diversify the economy and build on the industrial revolution of the present administration. Because if you just substantially rely on federal allocation, you will not do governance. Because the federal allocation is dwindling every day. So we need a youth that has the knowledge economy coming, maybe from the private sector. For once, let me be here to be saying that I don't think this is a time to have exact. You must have been ex-commissioner, you must have been ex-senator and all that. And we need to a lot of fresh breath into the system. Of course, you must have been prepared. The catch is that not just being a youth, but a youth who has been mentally prepared, a youth who is who has the mental awareness that governance is different from politics. We are coming in to represent a generation, because Cross River State have been known to produce very youthful governors. So I do not see anybody who is above 45 or 50 mass to be governor in 2023.
Excellent. Let's get your thought, because most times some youth settle for just being carriers of bags, files for what they call their principal. Let's get your position on that for in preparing for 2023.
In 2009, precisely, I attempted to be the chairman of my local government, Yala local government. I was about 25 or thereabouts, and when I consulted somebody, say, "You are too young. You should be posting papers and posters." And it was very funny. In this climate, even when you are 45, somebody said, "This is a small boy." But look, with that pride, I've gone around the globe. I've sat among heads of governments at the Chatham House. I mean, it's what you can bring to the table. Your ingenuity, your contribution, your sense of reasoning. That's how you are being judged, not the age. So, if you are a youth and you just want to develop yourself, Of course, nobody's going to send you to go and carry ballot paper, which is now outdated. Also, so a youth who has developed him or herself, they will look at your pedigree and I think they will treat you so. So I will urge Cross-Riverians, urge Nigerians to develop themselves. If you do that, the premium placed on you will be different.
Definitely. Barrister, before we let you go, let's get your word for every Cross River State youth out there.
Yes, I think we should participate in governance. We should come and participate in politics because you must be a member of a political party. You must have your PVC to determine who governs you. We should do away with docility. We've been docile for a while. We've been Facebook, just Facebook. So many people on the social media don't go to their community. They don't know where a polling booth is. Come into the system, participate in the system. You could influence the system, and you can influence the system. It's our turn in 2023. We want to see a younger person as governor of Cross River State, somebody who has knowledge economy, who can connect with the grassroots and know our problem. Because if you participate, policies of government is drawn up around people that are within the corridor of power. And I can tell you for good that a good manager is as good as the management team. If you are not a manager, be among the management team.
Excellent. Sir Barrister Leonard Anyogo, Secretary, Cross River State Elders Forum, many thanks for your time on the show this morning. We'll indeed bring you, anytime you are in the state, we'll bring you to lend your voice to Cross Riverians out there.
It's my pleasure. I can tell you I will continue coming. Beautiful studio. I'm very, very happy.
Thank you so very much.